Good afternoon. Coach Mark with Action Coach Bluegrass, here to talk to you again about the 9 must-dos to get in place so your business starts racing again. It's time to rethink, reinvent, and reopen our businesses. Come on in, we're open. We already did step 1, re-educate and prepare. Step 2, rebuild your team, help them get confident, get them back in the groove again. Step 3 was renew with deals. Help your customers choose to come back. Then deals for your new customers. Reopening announcements. Make sure that every step of the way that you're getting ready to reopen, and even after you reopen, that you're communicating, that you're sharing that information. Number 5, redo your celebration. Have a grand reopening ribbon cutting. Do it virtually if you have to. Celebrate surviving. Celebrate your team. Celebrate your customers, your vendors, your suppliers. Celebrate your community. Celebrate everything. Make it memorable, make it newsworthy, make it a charitable event if you can. Partner up with strategic partners, but do whatever you need to do. Now, let's talk about to-do number 6. This one's a little bit less fun, but it's still so critical. Rerun your numbers. You don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. Every decision you make right now is either going to make you money or cost you money, and you need to recognize that. It's always been the case, but it's never more important than it is now to really understand every single decision is either going to cost you money or it's going to make you money, and make sure you're aware of which it is for each decision. Check your numbers more often than you've ever done, not less often. You got to look at them every day. If you used to look at them weekly, look at them daily. If you used to look at them monthly, look at them weekly. It is so important to know what's going on, what are we making, what are we spending. Cash is still king. That hasn't changed, and that won't change for a while. Know what your break even is, and then know what your profit break even. Profit break even is basically what are the level of sales I need to make my minimum target profits. Break even is what are my level of sales to cover my overhead. That doesn't leave any profit for you. So really know your break even to just cover your overheads, and then know what your profit break even is. Your break evens may have changed. You may have made some changes in your business where your overhead's different now than it used to be. You may have fewer employees. You may have fewer products that you're bringing in. So you need to rerun your numbers. You may have had to change some pricing. Your margins may be better or worse on different product lines or service lines. You need to know that, and you need to know what's your break even today and what's your profit break even. That's your target profit, because remember, we're not in business to break even. We're in business to make profit so that we can pay ourselves, pay back to our community, and pay back into the business to keep growing it. That profit is our capital to keep growing our business, growing our team. If you get a loan, PPP loan in particular, use it very wisely. Make sure you're using it on payroll as needed and your rent or mortgage payments so that it, as much as possible, is forgivable so that it doesn't turn out to be a loan you have to pay back. Pay close attention. Talk to your banker. Make sure you understand the rules. The forms are out. Rules aren't final, but they're pretty close to final. And at this point, they're probably only going to get a little bit better, probably not worse. But make sure you understand them. Make sure you understand the process, and make sure you are accounting for the money you spend. You get an EIDL loan, the emergency economic injury disaster loans, because of the disaster that was declared. If you get one of those loans, remember, that is a pure loan, and you need to pay attention to how that works together with the PPP loans and any front money you got from your application for the disaster loan. That grant money that comes off, that reduces the forgivable part of your PPP loan. Make sure you understand that. If you get an EIDL loan in particular, separate that out, because that's going to be a loan you're probably going to use over long term. Put that in a separate account, track that, use that very carefully. That is money you're going to have to pay back. Good news is it's at a low interest rate, 30-year payback, very low payments. Keep track of it. In particular, anything you want, you're targeting to be forgivable, make sure you are on top of that money and that you can track it and you can prove how you spent that money. I'm still suggesting keeping more cash on hand. Use credit as much as possible. A little bit of interest expense right now is okay to make sure you keep cash on hand. If we get to the point where we don't need to keep the excess cash on hand, we can pay off those credit cards. But until then, keep as much cash on hand as possible. Protect yourself, protect yourself. We're coming out of this, but we don't know. We'll know in a month or so what kind of rebound do we get from reopening, from all the people going to the beaches, for all the people having Memorial Day parties. We don't know what's going to happen there. So keep that cash on hand as long as possible. I'm Coach Mark with Action Coach Bluegrass. And tomorrow we'll talk about to-do number 7, rethink your marketing and sales. Don't forget, rerun your numbers. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you again tomorrow.